Hello there, right here. Today we will be looking at 15 things that you guys should do before updating to 1.17. Whenever there is a new version, Minecraft sometimes ends up removing some things in the game, which cause them to be discontinued and rare. Those of you guys that know me know that I love collecting rare things in survival. And every time there is a big update, we look at all the new things that become rare. If you'd like to see more rares as well as weird stuff in Minecraft, check out these playlists after this video. First, we're going to take a look at the rares that can only be done in early versions of 1.16. Then ones that can only be done before 1.17. And finally, ones that can only be done during the 1.17 snapshots. Make sure to hit subscribe as well as the bell so you don't miss out on future videos about 1.17 and the weird things that are in it. The first one we'll be looking at is how to get these glitched out blocks in survival. They have this really weird gray top. Those blocks happen when you have a snow layer on top of them, which converts the sides to being snow-like. But if you're able to look at the block without the snow layer on top, this is what they would look like. You could do this by having Enderman beside a layer of one of these three blocks, either grass, mycelium, or podzol, with a layer of snow on top, and then they'll pick them up and they'll have one of these weird looking blocks. If you kill them during this time, they won't actually drop it, but you can use that trick I showed where you can put mobs inside a boat and they won't be able to despawn. So now you have this Enderman which will be holding this block. Now you just want to put some string around him so he's unable to place the block back down. Or you can wait for the Enderman to actually place it down, and then what you got is this weird block. So you can have a total of 6 types of rares, 3 Endermen with the 3 different types of blocks, and 3 blocks on the ground. Next is getting a baby piglin that cannot despawn that is also holding a piece of leather. This is because they change it so these little guys will despawn if they're holding leather, which they can naturally get from killing hoglins. And to prevent these guys from just sitting in your world, creating tons of entities and lag, they have it so they will despawn if they're holding leather. But if you do this before 1.16.4, they will still have this persistence required 1 tag, meaning that they're unable to despawn. Something very subtle, yet a cool mob that can be obtained. Next is getting these very rare illegal weapons, such as a multi-shot plus piercing crossbow, double enchanted bows, or double enchanted helmets. Prior to 1.16.5, you could kill these pillagers. If they had enchanted bow, there was a chance that you could get double enchantments on it, including 2 enchantments which normally can't go together, multi-shot and piercing. So here I have a normal crossbow with piercing and a multi-shot enchanted book, and you can see it doesn't let you create that type of bow. Getting the double enchanted bows as well as protection 8 helmets was from killing these skeleton horsemen. Both them and the pillagers had a bug where they would apply their enchantments twice onto gear. Getting the best type of crossbow like this is a 1 in 400,000 chance, and some double protection helmets are as rare as 1 in 3 billion. If you want to learn more about these 2 rares, check out these 2 videos I did that go into more detail, which I'll link below. Next is getting these crazy floating weeping vine pieces. The way this is done is you grow a normal vine and then you right click and left click at the exact same time. This swaps out the old pieces with the new growth, which is a small one. So you can make these weird looking floating vines. The next 2 have to do with the effects. So if you would eat a pufferfish in early versions of 1.16, you would actually get different potion effects than you do now. This includes getting nausea level 2, which level 1 is actually the maximum that you normally can get. And also getting poison 4, when you're normally only supposed to get poison 2. And after 1.16.4, you can no longer get these 2 effects. There's no other way of getting nausea up to level 2, and there's no other way of getting poison up to level 4. The last one that has to be done in early versions of 1.16 is getting a glitched out cobble wall. And this is done by finding them in taiga villages. The wall appears to be attaching itself to the stairs, which isn't possible. Now you can create this rare type of block using other methods, but keep in mind some methods are just visual, like this trick here, where it appears that the wall is the same. If you actually right click this, it's going to remove the visual bug, as what you did to the wall isn't actually there. And you can notice this by relogging. So if we log back in, you'll see the game will automatically remove any visual glitches, which that was. So it wasn't actually like that. The next rare that you can find is a kelp growing out of a magma block. It's quite rare but can be found in some locations. The first rare that you can get in 1.16.5 is a pig spawner in survival. So if we teleport out to this location, you will see we ended up at not just 1 pig spawner, we actually got 4 pig spawners in here. And this is possible in survival. And if we put down some grass, we can even get pigs to spawn into the game. Now this can no longer be done in 1.17. It has to do with a buried treasure trying to replace the exact location that a mob spawner was in. In this case it was a caves mob spawner, but you can also have it be a monster dungeon. Finding this in your survival world is extremely difficult, so it's best to use external tools to search for these locations. And you can learn more about that by watching Andrew's original video. The next change comes to how you can obtain these iron ore. Prior to 1.17, you could just use explosions like a TNT to blow them up and drop the actual ore blocks. But in 1.17, if you use TNT on these guys, it will instead drop these new items, which are the raw iron. So you no longer will be able to use a TNT block query to get the actual iron ore blocks. This also applies to gold ore. Now to obtain these going forward, you'll have to use a silk touch pick. So if you want to get large amounts of them easily, make sure to go ahead and obtain them using a block query prior to 1.17. Since both iron as well as gold are more unique as ore form rather than item form, since you can get iron from iron farms and gold from a pigment farm. The next rare that you want to obtain before 1.17 are these floating vegetation. This can include floating grass as well as all the different variations of flowers. This is done when the game is placing in the population, like the vegetation that you see, and then it comes in and carves out a water pool, which leaves everything floating. It's also possible to find double stacked grass, and you can even find 3 tall grass in some areas. There's other variations that you can find, like grass on water, or other blocks on top of like gravel or sand. This even includes finding floating snow in a snow biome. And this stuff's pretty crazy. If you walk right over it, you just fall right through. The next rare that can be attained before 1.17 is getting a podzol with a snow layer on top, but having it still look like podzol. The way you do this is by having 4 spruce saplings and some dirt blocks around it with snow layers on top, and then if you bone meal this, when the giant spruce tree grows, it's going to convert the bottom pieces into podzol. But all the podzols that are underneath of the snow are not updated like you would typically expect them to look. You just got a rare block which you can add to your collection. There was a cool trick that you could do in 1.16.5 where if you would click on a boat and dismount it and then click on a boat and dismount it again very quickly on a server, you could desync your player from the server, meaning that the server thinks that you're inside the boat, but the client side you could walk around and you could perform really dangerous things without having a risk of dying. This desync glitch and other ones similar to it were all patched in 1.17. So have fun with them while you can. Now when it comes to random structures intersecting other important structures, 1.17 they fix a lot of these problems. So here we have a rune portal, and this thing is actually intersecting a stronghold. So if we just break down here, we can see that there is a entrance end portal. And it's actually cutting right through it where it's actually destroying the portal frames. This area just looks so cursed with the entrance end portal, the rune portal, and the mine shaft all coming together. So if you want to have any structures colliding with your entrance end portal, you have to get it before 1.17. This next one has to do with killing the ender dragon and it dropping 12,000 XPs. Now this normally only happens the very first dragon that you kill, but I showed this really cool glitch where you can actually get this repeated over and over again. So let's go ahead and collect these XPs. So I got around level 62. And that's because that was the first dragon, so I got 12,000 XPs. Go ahead and clear my XPs. Now prior to 1.17, you can come in here and remove all the exit end portal blocks within there. If you're wondering how you can do this in survival, I showed a couple different methods in my how to break bedrock and other indestructible blocks playlist, which I'll link below. Now besides doing the exit end portals, you also have to remove any gateway portals. And that's why people often don't do this, is because if you have all 20 gateway portals in, that means you have to destroy them all. So now all the gateways are gone, all the center portals are gone. All you have to do in single player is relog. Now once you log back in, you'll notice that all of a sudden the dragon health bar pops up, even though the dragon doesn't show up. And if you wait exactly 1 minute, then the dragon will spawn up in the air. So there is the ender dragon, but now the ender dragon that spawned in is actually a 12,000 XP dragon as well. So let's go ahead and kill this one. Okay, the dragon is dead. Now it will drop XP, so we'll see how many it provides. You can see it dropped a whole bunch of them. Let's go ahead and pick them all up. So you see we also got around 62 levels, meaning that we also got a 12,000 XP dragon. Also notice that we get another dragon egg. This is a way to get more dragon eggs without actually using a dragon egg generator. So if you want to take advantage of this trick, which is the same trick that I use in like my dragon XP farm, which produces close to 6 million XPs per hour, and how I reached the world record of most XPs obtained in survival, you have to do all this before 1.17. And also if you're doing a multiplayer, there's a little bit different trick that you have to do in order to get it to work. This next one is something you want to be careful of when upgrading to 1.17. And that is they change the location which a shulker finds to be valid. So in past versions you could come in here and place blocks above the shulker and he wouldn't teleport away. But in 1.17, if you have any block that is colliding with the block above the shulker will not accept that and he'll teleport away. So even if I put a trapdoor right there, you see he will leave. So keep that in mind, make sure you don't have any shulkers that have any blocks above them. Speaking of shulkers, another thing to be worried about is that in the past, shulkers couldn't shoot players when they were inside of a boat. Their bullets would just keep hitting the boat. But now in 1.17, they can actually shoot right through the boat and hit you. Now there are some weird things that could only be done during the 1.17 snapshots. For those of you guys that are trying to go for a lot of different types of rares and even would play in the snapshots, this is for you guys. In a special snapshot, the Endermen are able to pick up both the flowering azalea leaves as well as the azalea leaves. In the 03A snapshot, lichen can be obtained from caves and placed inside of lava sources to produce water in the nether. So any of you guys are trying to get water in the nether for survival, will have to do it in the snapshot. In 05A, you can use small drip leaf and grow it up to break bedrock. One problem is that there is no way to get small drip leaf in that version in survival. With changes made to fossils in the overworld, so now that they can generate in lower, it was possible for them to generate through the very bottom of the world, breaking the bedrock along the way. This also occurred in the nether dimension, meaning that you can easily punch a hole through the bedrock onto another ceiling by finding one of these. And during the snapshots, there were some new generation like lichen that could be found naturally floating in the world. Those are all the rare things that you should try to acquire before updating to 1.17. If you guys know of any other ones, be sure to add them to the document which I've linked down below. And I would really appreciate if you would leave a like on the video as well as share with other people so they know about all these cool things that they can collect before updating. I would like to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!